Hi, my name is Jake Ripley, and I'm doing a podcast about senior privileges. Firstly, for the brainstorming, the areas of growth I found myself personally drawn to in this situation was more of the inside and on-campus privileges that maybe straight seniors can have, like a dedicated room or like area for them. Um, the people I talked to about this were Dr. Romano, Mr. Fay, Mr. Pruitt, Dean Nunez, my mother, who is a senior mom, and my brother, who is a senior. If I could do it over again, and who I might consult, I'd consult Dr. DeBrock. I think he would be a great person to interview. And I think something that I learned in the larger picture was all the risks that off-campus privileges have, and the longer you have them, just the more liability there is. I'm going to say how I want to say that there were many good points in this that I had to leave out because I had over an hour of interviews. So unfortunately, I could not get them all. In every single interview, I listed these. I'm going to list this once for time purposes, but I'm going to connect senior privileges to the grad values. First off, open growth. I think more privileges mean more opportunities for seniors to demonstrate maturity, leadership, and personal responsibility. Intellectually competent. I think managing freedoms can build decision making and responsibility. I think religious, trusting students reflects God's trust in humanity. Loving. I think with privileges, seniors can mentor and away underclassmen and strengthen bonds in the school community among the seniors. And committed to justice, using privileges well models fairness and leadership for the whole student body.
As you demonstrate responsibility, more responsibility is given to you, and I think that is something that is good and appropriate. As a teacher, I sometimes worry about, especially like off-campus privileges, because not that I don't trust our students, I don't trust the people out there in the city. Like if a kid were to, say go off campus to have lunch and he gets into a car wreck, then, what is the part of the responsibility we have as a school? Because, we're supposed to be keeping him safe during the day, and when he's not on campus, it's harder for us to do that.
Do you have any ideas that maybe on-campus privileges could?
Yeah, I think maybe relaxing dress code, that might be something. It wouldn't be just a blanket, senior privileges, but it could be, senior privileges could be expanded to those who have demonstrated a certain GPA or something like that. Not that it would have to be really high, but they'd have to be current on all their grades, because I think, again, then it becomes an incentive to want to do better. I know a lot of seniors are experiencing burnout right now, and even if that's just setting an example for the underclassmen of how seniors go out in style. They go out in style, with class and with dignity and responsibility, or do they go out, basically burning the place down and crapping all over everybody, on their way out the door? Mm-hmm. That really sets, what the seniors do really does set a standard for the I think it could, because it could be, if it's something that's noticeable, that underclassmen look up to it and say, gosh, one day we're going to be seniors. And so even though they're not seniors yet, they can understand what it means to reach a certain level, within the school and within our community, that one day it'll be their turn to have that responsibility. And it could be something that, hey, when we're seniors, this is what we want to do, and this is the kind of legacy we want to leave.
I know it's what community life says, but I don't know why community life says that exactly. So it was worth considering what other time frame might make sense. Driving always makes me a little worried, and so when we have off-campus privileges, we're inviting students to drive more, and driving is always a little risky, and I would hate, I don't know what. It would be terrible for something to happen on the road that, hurt a student or hurt his, or damage his car or those kind of things. That's one thing that I think of. You know, another thing that this sounds kind of silly, but I do say it to seniors sometimes, and I think it really is. There's a truth in here. The more that we encourage seniors to leave, the more I think we weaken our community in some way. Community time seems to me to be a time when we are all able to be at work together in our community, right? It's literally in the name. So that's when clubs are meeting, it's when other kind of like community building activities are held. So now I realize it's also an appealing time to be able to go off campus because it's got it's an hour of time, right in the morning and so on. But maybe that would be one thing I could think of, is somehow structuring community times so that there are certain days where everyone is going to be here together to do the things we do together. And I also understand why, say for instance, the first period of the day and the last period of the day have special appeal. I understand that, because a student might be able to sleep later and maybe avoid some traffic, or avoid traffic on the other end and get home earlier to whatever obligations he has. And so those free periods seem to have benefits too. Yeah.
So first off, you went to strike.
Mm-hmm.
How did you have senior privileges?
I'm trying to think. There was the off-campus thing at the end of I guess it was the last quarter or whatever. We had off-campus lunch, and then it used to be that seniors could cut to the front of the lunch line. That was been a senior at Strake Jesuit. I understand. I think the school is more concerned about the liability of it. Like, it's not something that goes off without a hitch, I guess is the best way to put it. The more time you have kids off campus, and we're still, technically accountable for them, the more things that could go wrong, right? And I know my friends and I did maybe not the smartest stuff always during our off-campus lunch or free period or whatever. And I think the school is just trying to mitigate that. That's the thing, is that high school seniors don't always make the best.
You have to be somewhere to earn the senior privileges.
Sure.
At the end, do you think having those longer would help keep the seniors accountable?
No, because I kind of feel like, not to use like a stringent example of this, it's kind of like the death penalty. Like, the death penalty doesn't really keep people from committing crime, right? Even though like people would like you to believe that it does. I feel like any sort of like if you were like, oh, we're gonna like give you senior privileges earlier, I don't think that'd have any effect on guys' behavior or going to class or doing whatever. Like, I feel like that would just be a bonus for people. Because
also, do you think having these privileges would teach leadership and accountability, or would it lean more to like going overboard?
I think in theory it could, but like I think one of the things is like when you're learning leadership and you're learning those skills and all that sort of stuff, that there has to be like bumps in the road to like actually like learn lessons, and I think the school doesn't want to have to deal with those bumps. That's the big
idea.
Yeah, so my input is, I don't think beyond what we currently have in place, I don't think seniors should have any other privileges beyond that. Enough to the point that we're going to say, hey, for these last 2 weeks, we're going to take that liability and we're going to assume that liability for you guys, because you've shown us that we can trust you. You've shown us that we can give you this freedom, right? And then students settle, right? One of the original ideas that was floating around was like, what if you have like a senior game room, right? So like, I think something like that would be really cool.
Like,
right?
specifically where they're only allowed to go
Like
into.
only seniors, like, that are allowed to go in and like hang out during their free periods. I think something like that would be cool, right? Like
since it's the last 2 weeks of school, they don't have an opportunity to prove themselves. Like, if they mess up, it's over. And if they do well, it's still over. So their behavior in the 2 weeks, there's no reward or circumstance.
Nice to have a dedicated senior skip day. I think, seniors would leave campus during their free periods, and if they're failing or have poor grades, they're an ARC, and I think that's a good way to keep kids with poor grades, like, who aren't succeeding in school, and focus on their work, and gives kids with good grades the opportunity to leave campus. City, we drive to school every day, so no,